Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at purposely.com.
Hey, this is Jen. Welcome back to the Bible for Busy People podcast. And you know how much I like to start the episode with a good question to kind of get you thinking. And today's question is this: what kind of a test taker are you? Are you a pro at memorizing facts and thinking clearly during a test? Do you get distracted? Maybe it's been a long time since you've had to take a test. I know that's the case for me, except for maybe quizzes online like BuzzFeed. I haven't taken a test in years. Now, are you more of an essay person or a multiple answer person or a true-false question fan? There are all kinds of tests, and today we are talking about tests. We've been talking about the Lord's Prayer and how when you break down each line by line, there's actually a lot to uncover there. Today we are on verse 13 in Matthew 6, but I'm going to go ahead and read the whole Lord's Prayer again, which by this point you've probably already memorized just from hearing it all week. It says, "This then is how you should pray. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread and forgive us our debts as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one." Now, this is a tricky passage, and honestly, I was left with more questions than answers. So I'm going to go with you through some of the things that I found, and then we will come to some kind of conclusion at the end. But there's an important thing to note here, just in verse 13, which says, "And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one." God does not tempt us with pleasure and wrongdoing. He does not make it enticing so that we are drawn to it just so we can be punished when we choose it. James 1 verses 13 through 14 tells us that outright. And to do so would just be so much cruelty that God isn't capable of. God is not cruel like that. It's not something I would do to my kids. I wouldn't tell them not to eat a cookie before dinner and then wave a cookie around their face and eat it in front of them and tell them how good it is and tease them about how much they want one and then punish them for it when they eat one too. There's a verse in Ephesians 6 that says, "Parents, do not exasperate your children." And I want to remind you that God is a good parent. God does not tempt us with evil things just so he can punish us later. The Greek word used here that is translated as temptation, which hopefully I don't butcher this too much, but the word is perismon. It means testing, temptation, or even calamity or affliction. So it could mean a number of different things. And that's kind of where I got stuck here, knowing that God does not draw us into temptation, but also the wording here is a little tricky for me. As we see in James, the testing of your faith produces perseverance. So we don't necessarily want to avoid testing outright. We know that God tests our faith to refine it. We saw that even the other day when we were talking about how the Lord tested the Israelites with manna to see if they would follow his directions. 1 Peter also promises that we will suffer trials, but they happen to refine our faith and prove it genuine. God gives us opportunities to train us so we can tackle whatever we face next for our benefit so that our faith can be refined. Now, that same Greek word, perismon, I don't know, I should have looked that up. That same Greek word is used in 1 Corinthians 10, verse 13, which says that God won't let you be tested or tempted beyond what you can bear and will provide a way out so that you can endure it. Now, I think this passage right here, the one in the Lord's Prayer, could go one of two ways. One might be asking God to help us avoid sin and temptation, which by us saying it reminds us not to go towards temptation. Charles Spurgeon says, "The man who prays, 'Lead us not into temptation,' and then goes into it is a liar before God. 'Lead us not into temptation' is a shameful profanity when it comes from the lips of men who resort to places of amusement whose moral tone is bad." From Ligonier Ministries, again, I don't know if I pronounced that right, Burke Parsons said, "Part of the issue with the way it's translated into English and the way we understand that portion of the Lord's Prayer is that it's a bit of a Hebraism. It's a way of speaking. It's a manner of getting a point across to say, when we are tempted, Lord, lead us away from it. Get us out of it. Help us to flee it. So again, that could be the way that Jesus meant it here. But another way it could be interpreted is to ask God to deliver us from the overwhelm or discouragement of God's tests, or from a testing that may be too much for us to handle. And this isn't unfamiliar to Jesus. Jesus himself asked this in the Garden of Gethsemane, asking if God could take the cup from him. Not my will, but yours is how he ended that, though. So I'm still not quite sure which one that it means. However, I do think if we go a little bit further, we'll get some clarity. So next, Jesus says, deliver us from the evil one. Now, most accept the evil one to be the devil, who is also called in the scriptures Satan, or the accuser, or the father of lies. Ellicott's commentary puts it this way: the prayer against temptation would not have been complete without reference to the tempter whose presence was felt in it. We may lawfully pray to be spared the trial. If it comes, there is yet room for the prayer, deliver us from the power of him who is our enemy and thine. Finally, there's a subscript here in Matthew chapter 6, which says, at the end, it says, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. Some late manuscripts say, for yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. But most biblical scholars believe this verse was added later by a scribe because it's not in the original Greek or Latin texts. So we'll keep that in mind as we keep going forward. But anyway, all that to say, I think whatever we can gather, it's this. There is a spiritual battle going on that we can't see. And God is actively involved in it, both to help us refine our faith and to help us resist the enemy, whom James says in his book, will flee from us when we do resist the enemy. How are you staying active in the spiritual battle today? How are you actively praying for God's support and strength in the spiritual battle? Those are the questions I have for you this weekend. Let's chat again next week on a new topic on the Bible for Busy People.
Thank you for listening to The Bible for Busy People. If you need prayer or want to go deeper in your faith, visit our show notes. Will you take a moment to share with a friend and leave a review? It helps the Bible get into even more people's minds and hearts. Find more podcasts that will recharge you at purposely.com.
Are you looking for a distinctly Christian education? A place where your child can be challenged with academic rigor through a biblical worldview? Consider King's Schools.
England, and I'm a proud student of the King's Schools graduating class of 2025. Being a King's Knight has made a significant impact on my faith and future. Next year, I will be studying health sciences at Texas Christian University. Because of King's Schools, I walk confidently in God's perfect plan for my life, with the lasting friendships that have shaped me along the way. If you're considering enrolling at King's Schools next year, I assure you, you will find an incredible home and family here at King's that will last a lifetime.
Sign up for a tour of King's Schools by June 30th, and if you enroll, mention Purposely and pay no application fee. Visit gokings.org for more, building resilient disciples of Christ through Christian education for 75 years. gokings.org.